Got anything on you?
Stay with him. I'm at my house.
Okay, I don't know. I'm asking you. What's your name?
Gervonta.
What?
Gervonta.
Devonta is your first name?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your last name?
They're saying he can get anywhere up to 7 years if convicted of all charges, right? When you break down the situation, when you're a celebrity or an athlete and you have money.
What began as a quiet federal investigation has now grown into a serious situation that could impact Tank Davis's reputation and career. Authorities reportedly discovered large amounts of unregistered cash inside his Florida home after concerns were raised about cash payments for expensive jewelry that investigators believe may not have come from documented or traceable income sources. These discoveries have increased suspicions of possible financial misconduct and led federal officials to take a closer look at Davis's past legal and financial.
Gervonta Davis, world champion, man. Oh man, not again, dog. You the big dog, man. Hey, you Baltimore's finest, man. Yeah, across the Delaware Bridge, right? Yeah, that's him. That's you. Yeah, man.
But this time, the attention is not only on Tank Davis. The influence of Floyd Mayweather Jr., his former mentor, promoter, and one of the biggest figures in his career, has also become part of the conversation. These developments come soon after Mayweather was reportedly linked to a major real estate fraud case involving a company accused of misleading investors. Because of the timing, fans and analysts are now questioning whether Davis was influenced by the environment around Mayweather or exposed to similar financial practices during their time together.
Tank Davis had a history of assault charges and more. On September 19, 2017, an arrest warrant was issued for Davis, who was being accused of first-degree aggravated assault. The charge was later changed to a misdemeanor second-degree assault, which carries a maximum potential sentence of 10 years or a fine of $2,500 or both. At the court, Anthony Wheeler, a childhood friend, complained that Davis punched him on the side of the head with a gloved fist. He then stated that he was diagnosed with a concussion at the hospital. The incident took place at
4 years, Tank Davis has followed a path that looked a lot like Floyd Mayweather's, both in boxing and in his personal image. The luxury lifestyle, the expensive cars, the big spending, and the controversies all created a similar public image. But now, as investigators examine Davis's financial dealings, some believe the similarities go beyond appearances. They point to a history involving legal troubles, public incidents, and accusations of financial issues that have placed both fighters under heavy scrutiny.
In March 2021, he was indicted on 14 counts for allegedly causing a serious car crash after running a red light after a November 2020 birthday party in downtown Baltimore. His Lamborghini struck another car and left it smoking, sending the occupants to the hospital, including a pregnant woman. He allegedly left the scene in a Camaro that pulled up minutes later. On February 16th, Davis accepted a plea deal that saw him plead guilty to leaving the scene of an accident involving bodily injury, failing to notify an owner of property damage, driving on a suspended.
The reported discovery of undeclared cash came during follow-up investigations connected to the 2023 burglary at Davis's Parkland mansion. The break-in happened while Davis was serving time related to his 2020 hit-and-run case, and thieves reportedly took millions of dollars worth of luxury items, including high-end vehicles such as a Lamborghini Urus and a Ferrari SF90. At the time, the amount of wealth on display caught people's attention. Now, investigators are looking at those financial details more closely and questioning whether all of the money and assets were properly accounted for.
Now, beyond that case, he also still had a hit-and-run accident case that was still hanging over his head from a couple of years ago. And so he finally went before the judge for sentencing, and he ended up getting 90 days of home detention along with 3 years of probation. So as of right now, it's reported that he's spending those 90 days with his trainer, Calvin Ford, and looking forward to moving past this 90-day home detention.
The cash now being examined was reportedly not listed in Davis's tax records or reflected in his banking history. Sources familiar with the situation claim the money was not stored through traditional financial channels, but was instead kept inside his home. Investigators often view large amounts of undocumented cash as a warning sign, and the reported involvement of multiple federal agencies shows that the matter is being treated seriously. The situation has also brought renewed attention to the fallout between Davis and Mayweather Promotions. Over the years, Davis has openly hinted at disagreements with Floyd, saying he was unhappy with how his career was being managed. YouTuber Showbiz the Adult recently weighed in, suggesting that Davis's frustration was not only about finances but also about wanting more respect and a stronger legacy.
That's why I don't want to box anymore. I want to do therapy, right? But I feel as though if I do therapy, it will lose the fire that I have inside me. I want everything out of me where so I don't never think about fighting again. I don't think about even getting angry, you know what I mean? Because I have 2 girls, 2 daughters. I'm wanting to be much softer, you know what I mean?
Although Davis has been viewed by many as one of boxing's biggest stars, critics argue that he has not yet built a resume filled with enough elite-level opponents to secure a lasting legacy. Some believe Mayweather's influence played a role in the way his career was managed. Showbiz the Adult recently suggested that Davis may have realized that being the face of boxing is not enough without major accomplishments to define his career. He described Davis as someone still searching for purpose, respect, and recognition beyond just pay-per-view success. That desire for something bigger may be connected to some of the recent decisions surrounding his career. Davis recently announced his retirement as WBA lightweight champion, saying he wanted to focus on making money and staying away from the spotlight.
Incarcerated, I felt like I wasn't supposed to be in there.
Yo, hey, take that shit fly right here.
I ain't gonna lie, your beard is fine.
Yo.
It was a learning experience. You know what I mean? It showed me that that's not where I want to be. And I got kids, you know what I mean? I got kids I gotta take care of. I got family, friends, and everything I gotta take care of.
In his own words, Davis said he wanted to live a life where he could stay out of the public eye. Some people viewed that as a fighter simply looking for peace and privacy, while others believe it could be a sign that he is stepping away before more problems come to light. Despite his announcement, Davis was still expected to face Lamont Roach in a rematch scheduled for August 2025 in Brooklyn, a fight he described as one of his final appearances. However, the future of that event could depend on how the investigation develops. If legal action is taken or his assets are restricted, Davis's boxing career could face major setbacks much sooner. Meanwhile, Floyd Mayweather continues to deal with his own growing legal and financial challenges. Mayweather has also faced legal pressure after being named in a lawsuit that claims his name and brand were used to attract investors in a major real estate scheme. The allegations include claims that he promoted properties he did not actually own. Floyd has denied any wrongdoing and said he was not involved in the operation of the alleged scheme, but the controversy has added more criticism to his public reputation. Now, some fans are drawing connections between Davis and his former mentor. Davis looked up to Floyd, followed his lifestyle, and built part of his image around the Mayweather brand. Critics argue that he may have also picked up some of the negative patterns associated with that world, from legal controversies to financial questions, making the similarities difficult for some people to ignore.
A lot of you guys are talking about what Gervonta Tank Davis said, talking about him pricing himself out, saying that he won 150 M's for his rematch with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia, y'all want to know what I think about that whole video? It looks like Gervonta is on the outskirts. Listen, man, where everything is happening, dude, all these fights are being made over there. It just looks like Gervonta is on the outskirts looking for the perfect op. But at the same time, talking about how big of a brand he is.
The biggest concern is that Davis is only 30 years old and still in the prime years of his boxing career, yet many believe he appears mentally and emotionally disconnected from the sport. He has shown frustration about his legacy, a lack of motivation for boxing, and now faces questions surrounding financial matters outside the ring. Federal investigators are paying attention, and so is the entire boxing community. If this investigation results in serious legal consequences, it could become a shocking downfall for a fighter once viewed as the next superstar after Mayweather. But it could also serve as a reminder that fame and money alone cannot replace discipline, growth, and strong decisions. As Showbiz the Adult suggested, wealth does not always bring happiness. Now, with Davis's future uncertain, the question remains: is this the end of Tank's boxing journey, or the start of the toughest fight of his life?
But for me, go get the money. It's right there. The bag is right there. Go get it. I would go get the money because these fights are going to always be there. These boxers are always going to be there to fight because none of them are making the type of money that you're making. Not saying they're not making the money, but they aren't making Canelo and Tank money.
However, the situation surrounding Tank Davis is starting to create more serious concerns. While the boxing world was focused on his surprising draw with Lamont Roach, a fight many expected him to win comfortably, another story was reportedly developing behind the scenes. This time, the focus was not just on his earnings from boxing, but on financial questions that involve lawyers, investigators, and increased attention from authorities. The conversation around Davis has now taken a more serious direction. Some critics believe his interest in unusual high-profile matchups, including a possible fight with Jake Paul, was not only about growing his name but also about finding new ways to generate income and protect his financial future amid growing scrutiny.
You saying he fighting for the money. You ain't saying Mayweather the promotion trying to make the most money off of Tank possible. You saying he fighting for the money.
If he said he went in there 0 times and requested the big fights, obviously he don't really care about the big fights. He just want to get the money, in which he's doing a good job at.
I mean, maybe he just let his team, come up with who they think should be next for him, and maybe that's why he hasn't gone in there. Because anytime we see him, hear him after a fight, well, got to sit down with Calvin.
According to reports from people familiar with the boxing world, Davis has reportedly been facing quiet federal attention for several months. While no official charges have been announced, the reported focus includes questions about possible money laundering, unreported income, and alleged connections that investigators are examining. These types of rumors are not completely unfamiliar in boxing, a sport that has often had ties to tough environments and complicated backgrounds. However, the situation surrounding Davis has reportedly moved beyond simple speculation. Some insiders claim his team has been warned that serious financial actions, including possible restrictions on accounts, properties, and business assets, could happen depending on what investigators find.
We know that Gervonta is going to fight Jake Paul in November, and then we'll see what happens if there's an AJ fight. Be interested to go from Gervonta Davis to Anthony Joshua, but I don't think the Chavez fight is terrible. I think it's a smart.
This situation is not just based on random talk. Some observers have highlighted a series of unusual moves from the Baltimore fighter in recent months. They point to his interest in fights outside his natural weight range, a focus on entertainment-style matchups instead of legacy-defining challenges, and more appearances in spaces that are far removed from traditional elite boxing. That is where the Jake Paul discussion entered the picture. On paper, a 195-pound exhibition fight between a proven knockout artist from the lighter divisions and a former YouTuber competing at cruiserweight seems like an unusual matchup. Davis has built his career fighting around the 130 to 140-pound range, while Paul has competed near 200 pounds, making the size difference a major obstacle from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down. Let's run it. I'll be super, super down. I don't know if
Gervonta needs Jake Paul. Let's be clear, right?
Is there a height limit in boxing?
Reports suggested that Davis's team was eager to make the Jake Paul fight happen, but some observers believe the motivation was not about championships or building a legacy. They argue the focus was on the financial opportunity. A matchup with Paul could bring in a huge payday through a major entertainment event, with fewer of the traditional pressures that come with a standard boxing promotion. Critics have questioned whether the appeal was simply the money and the speed of the deal rather than a meaningful step in Davis's career. Some have speculated that the fight represented a way to create new income opportunities during a time when Davis was facing increased attention over his financial situation.
One of the biggest names, obviously, Gervonta Tank Davis, 13 sellouts in a row, 3 division champion. You and him were very close to fighting. Will we see that in November?
Yeah, no, we're working on it behind the scenes to make that happen, and obviously that's a fight where the fans are going to win, and it's going to be the biggest event of the year.
What weight would you fight him at?
We're working on it, but it'd be an exhibition most likely.
Go ahead. If you want to know, can you bring Glory back to Cleveland after that embarrassment?
Behind the scenes, reports suggested that the situation was starting to break down. Jake Paul's team reportedly became concerned about Davis's unpredictability both professionally and personally. Paul, who has built his name as both a promoter and a boxer, was said to have no interest in being involved in a situation surrounded by legal issues or uncertainty over whether Davis would even be able to receive his earnings. Eventually, the potential fight fell apart. Although Paul described the deal as being extremely close to finalized, Both sides gave limited explanations for why it ended. Many believe the growing attention, financial questions, and increased outside pressure played a major role in stopping the matchup.
But me and Gervonta were scheduled to fight for sure.
How real or what was to it with you and Tank actually being a thing? Was that something that was talked about?
Yeah, no, it was highly talked about and in negotiations and almost ready to make happen, but he has to do his rematch with Lamont and get that W, and then we'll be able to run it back. But me and Gervonta were scheduled to fight for sure.
There have also been reports about Davis quickly moving into promotional projects, launching new businesses, and making aggressive real estate investments. Some financial experts believe this kind of activity can raise questions when someone appears to be rapidly shifting money between different areas. The idea behind such moves is often to create multiple income sources and protect assets, but critics argue that this type of behavior can sometimes lead to financial problems or legal complications. Some have also questioned the people around Davis, saying his inner circle may not have always focused on building a stable long-term career. Instead, they claim he has been surrounded by individuals more interested in quick opportunities and short-term gains rather than careful planning. Now, some believe those decisions could be creating bigger problems for his future.
We're in discussions with a lot of names: Gervonta Davis, Anthony Joshua, Badu Jack, Ryan Garcia, KSI, Tommy Fury. So there's a lot of people on the hit list, but Badu Jack excites me a lot, and I definitely want to become world champion. So going after Zerto or Badu sounds like a good game plan to me.
If you had your pick of the litter, in scale of 1, 2, and 3.
First is Gervonta, second is Anthony Joshua.
People who have supported Davis throughout his career are reportedly starting to take a more cautious approach, waiting to see whether any legal action follows or if he can overcome the current situation. Some observers believe the pressure has also started to appear in his public appearances. Davis has recently seemed more unpredictable, switching between confident statements and quieter moments when questions about money come up. In a deleted Instagram Live, he reportedly mentioned that people were trying to take everything he had built, which some interpreted as a response to concerns about possible financial consequences. His online posts, clashes with critics, and displays of luxury have led some fans to believe he is trying to enjoy his success while facing growing uncertainty about what comes next.
Gervonta Davis just posted that he would beat the brakes off of you if you guys fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down. Let's run it. I'll be super, super down. I don't know if
Gervonta needs Jake Paul. Let's be clear, right?
Is there a height limit in boxing?
Meanwhile, Jake Paul has already shifted his attention elsewhere. His focus is now on a fight with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., a matchup that offers both name recognition and business value. However, Paul still continues to bring up the situation surrounding Tank Davis. In interviews, he has questioned Davis's abilities, saying he never viewed Tank as unbeatable and that Lamont Roach showed weaknesses in his style. But behind those comments, many believe Paul's words suggest there is more to the story than just boxing criticism.
Man, he got lucky as a draw. He did a good fight though. I thought he won it, but man, he gotta just create more action. That's a sparring session as far as I'm concerned. But god damn, that's not the Gervonta I know.
Others in boxing have started paying closer attention to the situation as well. Some promoters and managers believe Davis's future as one of the sport's biggest moneymakers could be at risk. If any serious legal issues come from the reported investigations, it could affect his ability to compete, promote events, or continue earning at the same level. And if financial,
I'm saying you got your eye on Tank. What do you think about the rumors of Tank and Jake fighting?
Man, Tank disrespectful to the sport if he choose that over fighting with me. I'm the best fighter in the sport. I've been telling him that. He called cap on it. So if he won't call cap and say I'm not who I say I am, come prove it.
The most disappointing part of this situation is the amount of potential that may be lost. Davis has always been recognized as one of the most gifted fighters of his era. His knockout power and natural ability have never been questioned. But instead of being remembered only for his talent and achievements, he now faces the risk of becoming an example of how problems outside the ring can damage a great career. The possible Jake Paul fight represents that bigger story for some critics. They view it as a desperate attempt to secure a major payday rather than a move focused on competition or legacy. Instead of building his name through championship moments, They believe Davis was searching for a way to protect his future and repair his image. Whether intentional or not, Paul became connected to that chapter of Davis's career.
You compare those fights to Gervonta Tank Davis, and this leads me to believe that, Tank is still the cash cow. Tank is still Tank, because Tank and Lamont Roach, that fight was very, very entertaining, in my opinion. Even though it ended in a draw, you can say, people say Tank lost, say Tank won, but ultimately, in my opinion, even though Tank didn't stop Lamont, that fight was very, very entertaining. That fight was a back and forth fight. Both of those fighters came to fight. So now this is a win.
Now, with the rematch against Roach approaching, the pressure on Davis continues to grow. He is not only being watched by boxing fans, but also by people closely following the financial and legal questions surrounding him. A strong performance could help rebuild momentum and give him more time to move forward, but another disappointing result could hurt his position even further. At that point, the conversation may shift away from big-money exhibitions and pay-per-view events and toward legal battles and the possible damage to his career. For now, Davis continues pushing forward, but the situation has become about much more than boxing. It is about whether he can overcome the challenges outside the ring and protect the legacy he worked so hard to build.